Hey, what's up everyone? We're just having a good little conversation here. We thought we'd bring you in on it about breaking patterns and having a plan for the future. I had a good discussion with a more mature couple in our church just the other morning about what's the plan when you get older and when you can't work or you don't want to work. And it made me realize that a lot of people actually don't have a plan. They're just kind of living life out now, the 9 to 5. But what happens when that ends? What's your plan? Where you're living? How are you going to get your income? And I think if you don't have a nest egg or an investment, or you haven't put things in place that can actually fund your lifestyle now, we're in for a dramatic shock when we get to the place of actually having to live life and you can't work, injury comes or something. So even, I'm a believer, I'm a fierce man of God, and I believe in the blessing and prosperity. And one thing we've done as church folks sometimes is we've broken the curse of poverty. We believed in our heart that God's going to bless us, and we declare that we're going to have more in our life. But one thing doesn't change, and that's the patterns of our life. And we know that if we don't change the patterns of our mind or renew our mind, then we don't get transformation. And so it's one thing to be spiritually free and broken through and stuff, but if you're still patterning after the curse, if you're still overspending, if you're still taking on the traits of what your mum and dad did and how they lived, or your uncle or auntie, or however you're raised that was negative, because there's some positive things but negative, and you're still patterning after that, it's all just a false dream that things are going to get better. So yes, break it in the spirit, but get the patterns in place in the natural, on the physical life, that's actually going to bring lasting change. And so that was my thought in our discussion today, was what's the plan, brothers? Where we at? You might be 20 years of age, 30, 40 years of age. It's never too early to start finding something that's going to be not dependent on you just trading in your efforts for time, but actually can work for you. So Howes, what do you reckon, brother?
Yeah, a huge thing to change that pattern is to actually have a plan. So if you don't have a plan, make a plan. If you don't know what a plan looks like, ask somebody who has a plan, somebody that you can see that has fruit on their tree in that area of their life. They are financially stable, they maybe own a couple of properties, or they have some kind of long-term investments in stock or in commodities like gold or silver, or they run a business. And I guarantee you these people will have a short-term plan, a mid-term plan, and a long-term plan. So if you don't have a plan, the very first thing you can do to start breaking those patterns is to sit down with your husband, sit down with your wife, and between the two of you, make a plan. So stick to your plan, stick to your short-term plan, things you can achieve in a month, in 2 months, 3 months. They might look like, okay, we'll only eat out once a week instead of 7 days a week. That there alone will save you a lot of income. With those savings, you can also then put them into high interest savings accounts. So it's just a lot of little things that you can do with a short-term plan. Obviously, mid-term plan, you're looking at bigger things like buying your first home, buying a second home. Long-term plans, you're looking at owning businesses, owning property portfolios. And these are just some options that are actually out there, and people are actually setting themselves up for life, just for sitting down, having a coffee, and making a plan. So yeah, get a plan. Without a plan, you subject your future to superannuation. You subject your future and your children to having to lock into the world system of waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and going to work in the brick pits of Egypt for 12 to 14 hours a day. So if you want that to change for your children or yourself, go and do it. There's only one thing stopping that coming to pass, and that's you and your mentality. So if you change that, you can change your future, and you can change the future for your children and the generations to come. Get a plan, people. Get a plan.
That's us.